you? Oh, I see 2 crystals. 1, 2. I see a 3rd one there. Yep, there's another one. Oh. It's gonna be nice when it gets cleaned. Nope. Yep. Oh, there's one. Yep. I don't know what that is, but it's gonna be nice. I think it's multiple crystals in a band. Cool. There's another one. Oh, there, I like that. Look at that cluster. There's one right there. See it? That's beautiful.
My name is Chris. I'm a hobby gemstone cutter, and I have recently received a package of stones from meMiner on YouTube, where he had found some quartz. I suggested, well, I wouldn't mind cutting some of that quartz. Of the material Craig sent me, the first stuff that I noticed online was this tumbled quartz, which you can see is pretty darn clear. It does have some inclusions in it, or cracks, or frosty areas, but some of it's, you know, pretty darn clean. So I got quite a good bag of tumbled stuff. In fact, that's all of it. And I marked it. You can see some have X's on it, which I probably won't be in a big hurry to cut because of the inclusions and cracks and things are, you know, towards the middle of the stone. But I've marked some with check marks that I can definitely cut and get the majority of the good stone out of them. He also sent a bag of crystals that aren't really clear, but they're quartz crystals nonetheless. He also sent a bag with a couple big specimens in it, but I won't bore you with those. This bag and these here are definitely cuttable stones, and they have enough clean material in them for faceting, and that's what this project's all about, is doing some faceting. This is called a faceting machine, and it's made for cutting facets or faces onto gemstones. In general, it's a motor. It's got a couple speeds to it. We've got a mast with a quill that's called a quill, and a vernier scale on it so that I can adjust my angles up and down, whatever angle I'm going to be cutting up and down. This doodad here called an index, which I can turn to set it to different indexing points. I can raise the mast up and down, and I can fine-tune the height up and down. I put my grinding lap, or a diamond lap, on here, run a bit of water on it, and here's a piece of that quartz that we were just showing you a few minutes ago. I've dopped it up on what's called a dop pin. It's a brass rod with a shellac-based wax that glues it on there. Obviously, being a triangular shaped stone, in the rough, we'll end up with a triangular shaped finished stone when we're done. And I'm going to stick that puppy into the quill. Got my 600 grit lap on here, diamond lap. Get some water running. I want to be at 45.5 degrees, which I've set on the vernier scale. And I'm starting on index, well in this case 94, and then moving to index 2. Get it lubed up here, and of course the water does 2 things. One is to keep the dust down, because, you know, lead, if you're cutting some sort of a leaded glass or anything like that. But another reason is that it keeps the stone cool, because a hot stone can crack. And we sweep the whole width of the lap. The wheel's moving faster here than it is here. And now on to index number 2. Now we're at 90 degrees to finish off the shape of the girdle. So this is to finish the outline shape of the stone. Like carpentry here, I'm gonna look twice and cut once. Make sure I've got it on the right indexes and angles and things. Right now we're just working on the pavilion and the girdle. And I'm going to be, I don't know if you can see these facets or not, but what I'm going to be using is the intersection where two facets meet. That's going to create the line at which I'm now cutting to. So now that I believe I have enough girdle here to leave a girdle while still cutting the crown. I've got my first 6 facets cut on the pavilion, but now we're at 90 degrees to finish off the shape of the girdle. So this is to finish the outline shape of the stone. Yeah, so we have the finished rough outline, rough ground pavilion, rough ground girdle, and its facets. And now I can go to pre-polish, or in this case a 3000 grit diamond lap to, oh pardon me, after I do 2 more small tiers on the pavilion. You can see that the size of the stone is dramatically reduced from what we started with, and these angles are determined by the mineral, which in this case is quartz, which has a refractive index of 1.54, and in order to have light reflect from the crown to the pavilion and back up to your eye, these angles are very specifically chosen based on the mineral.
You can see that there are some very small scratches, and I do believe that that is from having a little too much oxide. Most of these you wouldn't see without a magnifying glass anyways. These would be down in a setting, you know, you rarely ever see the pavilion. And I'm pretty sure by the time I'm done faceting this stone, you'll never notice them with the naked eye for sure. You can see there's a little bit of chipping on that edge, and sometimes when you get polishing these really sharp intersections here, that can chip, and it's probably from a little too much pressure and or heat during the polishing process. I've seen it happen on a few different stones. It doesn't really matter. I mean, I try to avoid it, but there's no sense trying to do anything about it, because once it's there, it's there. It's pretty tricky to polish out without recutting, and I am not recutting.
I have a brand new polishing lap on here that I've never used before. It's called the Dark Side lap, polishing lap, and it's highly recommended for doing quartz specifically. Now it'll polish anything with a hardness of 8 or less. In other words, from basically topaz on down. Topaz is harder than quartz. And so this is the first time I'm using it. I have some snake fluid here to lubricate this before I put my cerium oxide on there. And then I'm going to use a little a spritz bottle here just to keep the lap just slightly moist. This gets broken in after or during the first stone you cut, and this will be the very first stone I polished on this lap. So I'm just going to take my time and go over each of these facets just to get them a little bit of a shine, and I'll see if I can show you what I mean here in a minute. Anyways, this new lap does seem to work quite well. I love it. Nice crisp intersections of the facets. Minor scratching only because it's not yet broken in, and of course I may also be using a little bit too much cerium oxide.
Just before I decide to polish this crown and then cut the table, I figured I'd show you what it looks like with the pre-polish done. Anyways, you can see that it's coming along. I just got to give it a polish now and then cut the table, which is the flat facet on the very top.
I have transferred out. I'm in a different dot pin, and I've actually cut all the tiers except for the table on the 600 grit lap. Now I just have to pre-polish it with a 3000 and then polish it all, and then I have to use a little doodad called a table adapter, which I'll be sticking into here, and then the stone will stick into that, and that's to do the very top facet alone. I've done everything the same here that I did when I worked on the pavilion. Just now I'm working on the crown.
So here's one more view of it, polished completely, except I have yet to cut and polish the table. So I'm going to do that next, and then we'll get a final reveal.
Now I need to polish the crown, or cut and polish the crown. So what I need to do now is to get this in a transferred so that this side is glued and this side is accessible for cutting. So you can see this has 3 sides on it. It's like a 3-sided cone dot, and it's made specifically for this shape of stone. And I'm going to be using this machine here called a transfer jig. This dot from the stone, and the stone will be stuck to this dot, and then we can start cutting the crown. So on to the last step here of cutting the table. So I know you can't see me checking it here, but I keep double checking to make sure that the table's getting cut in evenly and symmetrically. I use this 10-powered loop, or magnifying glass. In the jewelry and faceting industry, we call it a loop, as in L-O-U-P-E. I cut for a hobby, and yes, I do sell my stones when I can, but that's not my primary. It's not my primary goal. And considering this machine is as old as I am, as in 60 years old, it's not quite 100%. It's got a few accuracy issues, so I have to pay a little more attention to make sure my cuts are accurate. No problemo, we make do. By the way, if you go into a jewelry store to buy a ring or a stone, ask the jeweler to provide you with their loop, and take a look to see how accurately the intersections of facets come together.
Here it is, the final reveal. This stone is 7.8 carats and 15.2 millimeters in diameter. You can see that quite a bit smaller than we were when we started out. Ready for a ring mounting or brooch or whatever the heck you want. So that's it for cutting some quartz, and on to the next project. Bye for now.